Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, my name's Jenny and this is Prayer and Penguins. And today we're going to be chatting about Christians and work. You may be the only Christian where you work, or the people you work with might have really different viewpoints and opinions on a lot of different topics. And while I don't think that is a bad thing, I think that can be a very good thing in a lot of times. But it can, for some people, make them feel quite nervous about talking about their faith, sharing their faith with other people. For others, their workplace might seem like a place that doesn't even really kind of cross paths with their faith. Their faith is kind of outside and their workplace is just for work. Whether that's because you've been told that you can't talk about faith in your workplace, or just because work seems so separate to the rest of your life. So in this video, I wanted to chat about what it means to be a Christian in the workplace. What as Christians should we be doing at work? No matter what kind of workplace you're in, whether you're temporary, part-time, full-time, whether you're a freelancer, whether you work in an office or you work from home, whether you love your work or you really don't like your work. Hopefully this video will give you some ideas and some encouragement for what you can be doing as a Christian in your workplace. But before we dive into it, let me know down in the comments, what kind of work do you do? And what do you find hard about being a Christian in your workplace? So the first thing that I think we should do as Christians is build relationships, make friends. I think so many of us can be guilty of either separating our work from the rest of our life so much that we don't really care about building relationships with those people. Those relationships are just professional and for work. Or we can go into a workplace and treat it just as a mission field and see these people as people that we need to help, we need to convert. And I don't think either of these viewpoints are very healthy. I think it can be a great opportunity for us to build relationships, to make friends, to get to know these people that we're working with. I think firstly, this is how we find other Christians in our workplace. You may not be the only Christian in your workplace, but if you don't make friends, build relationships, get to know people, how are you going to find out if anyone else there shares your faith? And it can be so encouraging to find other people who are Christians in your workplace too. And it's also through these relationships that you're going to be able to share God's love with people, whether that's through supporting them practically, encouraging them, whether that is eventually sharing your faith with them, if that is what God is calling you to do. Because these relationships, these friendships, are what is going to give you the opportunity to talk about your faith, your experience of God, just through talking about who you are, whether it's people asking what you've been up to at the weekend and you can talk about going to church, or whether it's getting into deeper conversations and you're able to share your perspective on different topics. And these relationships don't need to be an elaborate thing about making friends and inviting them to things and going out all the time. You don't have to be best friends with everybody, but I think it is really worthwhile and really valuable and really blessing to other people to spend the time getting to know them, understand who they are and their hobbies and the things that they enjoy, and honestly just treating them like human beings that exist outside of the workplace. The second thing that I think we should do as Christians at work is to work hard. Colossians chapter 3 verses 23 to 24 say, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving." And this, I think, demonstrates to us that unless you feel really convicted or you know that what you are doing or being asked to do is going against God's will, then we should be aiming to do what we do well, to be good at our jobs, rather than just doing the bare minimum we have to do to get by. This can be such a difficult thing to do if the people that you're working for are ungrateful or don't appreciate the work that you're putting in. But I think in that situation, as the reading said, we need to remember that what we are doing is also serving God, that God does recognise what we're doing and recognises our hard work. It's not our human masters we should be trying to please, but God. So if we take that mindset into our workplace, does that change our perspective on how hard we're working? Third thing that I think we should do is make a difference in this world. Now you might think that there are only certain jobs that really make a difference, that make the world a better place, and that other jobs just kind of keep things ticking on going. But I believe that in pretty much every single type of work, there is a way for us to make a difference, to make this world a better place, to make people's lives better. Whether you're serving food and just brightening someone's day, or if you're caring someone through an illness or the end of their life, or whether you're working for justice in any part of the police, justice, and rehabilitation systems. I think in every job there is a way for us to make a difference. And if you really think that your job doesn't make a difference at all, doesn't make the world a better place, I'd love to know what that job is down in the comments, and maybe collectively as a community we can have a think and prove that there are ways for you to make a difference and make this world a better place through that job. Or maybe we will find a job that really doesn't make a difference, and those are probably the jobs that we should try and avoid. The next thing that I think we should be doing as Christians is to use our God-given gifts. Now, I think sometimes we fall into the trap of thinking that church ministry is the only way for us to use God-given gifts, the only kind of capacity we think about these gifts in. But this is definitely not the only place that we can use our God-given gifts. God has given each of us gifts, and whether you have gifts of hospitality or of teaching or of caring for people, these are gifts that we should be using outside of the walls of the church as well as inside. And work can be a great way to do this. It doesn't have to be the only way. We can use our gifts through hobbies, through volunteering, through other activities too. But sometimes those gifts can lead us so nicely into a career path. And we shouldn't ignore that. We should be making the most of those gifts that God has given us. So if you can find a way to use those gifts that God has given you in your workplace, whether that is in your day-to-day tasks and actually what your job is, but it could also be in other parts of your workplace, whether it's how you interact with other people and support others, whether it's in your leadership style or the way that you help the planning and the strategy of your organisation. There are so many ways for you to use those gifts that God has given you. On a slightly different note, something that I think we should be doing as Christians in the workplace is making sure we have a good balance between work and everything else, home life. And this is something that I have struggled with from time to time, actually making sure that work and other things, whether that's family life, home life, church activities, making sure you have a good balance between these things to make sure that work isn't taking over everything, but also making sure that everything else isn't taking over everything and meaning that you can't do work well enough. And I think to achieve this, we really need to have good boundaries in place and stick to them, making sure we know when we're working and when we're doing other things. We need to know what our priorities are and make sure we're making space for the things that are most important to us. Making sure that we do have time for our family, making time for our marriage and our kids. I know for some people it can be really tricky if they are asked to work on Sundays and they want to make sure that they have time carved out for church on Sundays. And I think there are different ways to tackle this, whether it's asking not to work on Sundays or whether you choose to have your time of community and worship on a different day. I think there are different ways to address that kind of problem, but it's making sure that you are thinking about those things, making sure that you do have that balance in your life and are making sure that you are prioritising what is most important to you and keeping space for those things. This could also look like flexible working, whether that's kind of flexi time or split hours or condensed hours or whatever options your workplace might offer to you. It could be working from home to save time on commuting so that you have more time to be with your family throughout the day. Now, in some places, I know those things are a lot less available than they are here in the UK. I know where I work in particular, we're very blessed to have a lot of flexibility with those kind of things, and I do work from home, so I am able to benefit from that. And I know for a lot of people that isn't a possibility that is open to them. But I think it is worth exploring what options you do have, what rights you do have, and talking to your workplace, your employer, about what options there are if you do see a problem in that balance between your work life and everything else. And another thing I think we should be doing in our workplaces as Christians is to do it all for the glory of God. As I said before, it can be so easy for us to separate God from our work. Like there's a big divide in the middle, and when we're at work we don't even think about God. So be intentional about bringing him back into your workplace, into that work environment. Do everything for his glory. Give him the glory and say thank you when things do go well. Lean on him when you're struggling with something or things are getting really stressful at work. And really focus on what you can do to bring him glory rather than bring yourself glory. So I really hope this video has been encouraging to you, maybe given you some things to think about and some ideas for how you can approach your workplace. I'd love it if you could let me know down in the comments your experience of being a Christian in the workplace, whether positive or negative. I'd love to hear your stories. But if you did enjoy this video and found it helpful, please do give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more videos from me and Arnold. We create videos every Saturday all about prayer, exploring the Bible and living out your faith. And we know that sometimes the busyness of work can make it hard to fit prayer into our lives. So if that is you, if that's something you struggle with, then definitely check out our video full of prayer tips for busy people, which you can find right here. And we will see you soon for a new video. Bye!